And the problem I was trying to solve today was how to make a dungeon an interesting experience rather than a cavernous slog, and how to make it an appropriate pre-dungeon for the real big boss. So the characters are in Phandalin, and their Tresender Manor is the base of the Red Brands. They've taken over, and their boss, Glassstaff, is in there. Now, I really thought about this, and I thought, okay, this could just be some one-off bad guy, Glassstaff, who's running the Red Brands because he wants power and he wants money and whatever. Not so compelling, but understandable. Like, it's a garden variety villain, that's fine. I sort of had the thought, well, what if Glassstaff is really one of like the big bad guys for the entire campaign? Even moving into Tyranny of Dragons, which we're going to do after Lost Mine of Phandelver, what if Glassstaff was really this recurring bad guy who's here running the Red Brands as a stepping stone to some greater plans? So I really took the idea of this character and I thought about where he would want to go. What would he want to accomplish? And I thought, okay, if the rise of Tiamat in Tyranny of Dragons is about summoning a dragon, maybe he wants to participate in the summoning of dragons. Ooh, okay, I thought. Why don't I make him in the Cult of the Dragon? Why don't I make him secretly in the Cult of the Dragon while he's still working with the Lord's Alliance here? So I thought about that, and then I said, okay, I think I can take that a step further. What if he's actually one of the Worm Speakers? In the Tyranny of Dragons, there are 5 Worm Speakers who are like the 5 heads of this cult trying to summon Tiamat. What if I just took one of the Worm Speakers, say Galvan the Blue, who is not really mentioned as any more than a name in the adventure, so Galvan has no personality. Great, you know what? Let's make Glassstaff into Galvan the Blue. Let's say there was a Galvan the Blue. Glassstaff kills him or indisposes of him somehow and takes on that mantle and becomes the Blue Worm Speaker. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, for me, there's a part in Tresender Manor that there's like a pit, and there's this weird telepathic fiend sort of in the pit that the players are probably not going to go down into because it's this disgusting kind of gross, creepy creature. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I say the Blue Dragon Mask, which becomes one of the main artifacts in the Tyranny of Dragons campaign? What if the Blue Dragon Mask, for some reason, is in this cavern in this manor? Glassstaff knows that it's down there. He knows that there's an artifact of great power down there. He's traced it by doing research and, to documents and libraries and things like that. He's studied it, and he knows that this missing artifact is down here in Tresender Manor. That's why he got into the Lord's Alliance in the first place, so that he could get a post in and then that's why he decided to break off from the Lord's Alliance, because he didn't really want to be associated with them in the first place, and run the Red Brands so that he could have access to this manor. Okay, so now what he's really doing, he's not really interested in running the Red Brands at all. What he's interested in is getting this Blue Dragon Mask. And so he knows there's this item of great power down there that's going to serve him. It's very selfish of him. He's just using everyone to get at this mask so he can take his place as the Blue Worm Speaker. Maybe Galvan was named the eventual Blue Worm Speaker, but they didn't have the mask yet. So now he's going to show up and say, hey, Severin, look who's the real Worm Speaker. I've got the mask. And he's just going to off Galvan and take his place in the cult. So this is the plan that I had from the very beginning. And so when the players got into the manor, I thought, this is a thing that I want them to have agency in. I want them to have caused this somehow. So when the characters went in, I had Glassstaff talk to Frank, the elven fighter, and I had him ask Frank, could you hold this for me, or could you do something for me up here on the surface? Could you get the monster's attention? Here, get some food, throw it to the monster, distract it for a few minutes while I go down into the pit. I've got to get something. Why he wasn't able to get any of his Red Brands to do that, he basically said, you are a nice, tough fighter. You look like you could hold your own. None of my Red Brands will even come in here. They're all spooked of the place. I can't get anyone to do this for me because they're terrified. And I don't want to be a despot. I don't want to be a tyrant and force anyone to do these kind of things. Okay, he's kind of lying. But at the same time, he knows that the mask is down there, and so he asks Frank to distract this monster while he goes down there and pockets something. So he gets it, he slips it in his bag, he comes back up, and of course Frank is curious, and he says, hey, what was it? What did you find? And he says, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm just very thankful for your help. And so this dungeon then becomes not just a regular dungeon, but a plot point that's going to continue on in this campaign for years, even up to Xonthal's Tower, where later you'll find out that Glassstaff has made it his headquarters as he tries to undergo an apotheosis and become a god, using the blue dragon mask to become a god right alongside Tiamat. So that's a story for another time. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next episode.